Knocked Loose, You Won't Go Before You're Supposed to, album review, let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this Kentucky-based metalcore act, Knocked Loose. This is their third album. They've been at it for quite some time now, honestly, and for a while now, I've had a certain soft spot for the band that I did not expect to really, feel over time. Their debut album, Laugh Tracks, years ago, came out during a time that I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you, I just did not care about the modern metalcore scene. It just, I was under the impression at the time that it was at its lowest, and I just was not excited by the arrival of just another sort of throwback beatdown metalcore group. But what do you know, the band actually really pulled off a very solid debut album, and it wasn't anything mind-blowing or bold. As a matter of fact, it was a very straightforward release, but so much so, it was just done with so much just aggression and just straightforwardness that, I kind of respected it at the end of the day for it. And I only continue to respect them more over the next few years with the Mistakes Like Fractures EP or their Different Shade of Blue album that they released, which had the band sounding more menacing and more intense than ever. Oh, by the way, their last EP, A Tear in the Fabric of Life, one of my favorite metal EPs of the last few years. Now, I've made it also no secret that the new singles that have been leading up to this project have kind of blown my mind, honestly, and are easily some of the best metalcore tracks that I've heard in a while, and I thought that they were cooking up something good on this album, and yeah, they are. This album starts off with Thirst, and this is exactly what I wanted to hear in every way. Knocked Loose sounding at their most dangerous, just so vicious. The energy on this track, the explosion of rawness, the drama here, the tension. This is everything I want to hear from an intro track on a Knocked Loose album, and it is exciting. I mean, God, the playing all around is just so impressive, especially the guitar tones. The guitar tones throughout this whole record are just really impressive. The sheer intensity of this track is just truly thrilling. My God, what a start. If you are into modern metalcore, or you've just kind of been into metalcore in the past and been sleeping, time to wake up. Piece by piece, a little bit more of a standard throwback beatdown hardcore track, and honestly, it's done really well. It's nasty, it's got some really great drum fills, and much like this album's cover art, this shows the band taking a much more turn for the dark, almost to the point where it gets a little campy in parts, but I actually don't mind that at all. As a matter of fact, I almost respect it, and there's just a simplicity to this track that makes it so obvious. I am just so happy. Suffocate featuring Poppy. Going into this track, I had my reservations as far as Poppy's heavier music goes. I have most certainly been very much on the fence over the last couple of years, but this track, all around, A+. Everything about this track is just so in your face, between the breakneck drums, the ridiculous guitar playing once again, and Poppy's guest feature. She sounds, honestly, at her heaviest, which is where I'd hoped she'd be, and honestly, her very intense, very in-your-face whispered vocals as well, really effective. And Don't Reach For Me is just simply put one of the best metalcore singles I've heard in years. This track really did excite the hell out of me leading up to this album, and it's only grown on me ever since. This is an absolutely ruthless, dangerous track that will just tear into you without warning. Once again, the guitar tones, ridiculous. I mean, what even is this breakdown? The playing on this track is freaking nuts, and I'm just really thrilled to hear Knocked Loose playing at this level of intensity. And this is probably one of the first metalcore singles in years that I listened to it, and the first thing I heard when I was done listening to it was, wow, I gotta listen to that again. It's awesome. Moss Covers all takes a turn for the hardcore, and they even have this sound down to a T. It's 46 seconds of sheer intensity with awesome production. I mean, what even is this album? I mean, I'll tell you what it is. It's an assault on your ears, and it is a good one. Yeah, you're gonna want this on your gym playlist pronto. Now, I hate to be that guy, but one track here really does just kind of take me out of my good mood, and it's not all bad, but I do have to point out Slaughterhouse 2 featuring Chris Motionless of Motionless in White is not exactly this album's best track. I mean, in the past, I've just always been so very, very middle of the road on Motionless in White. I've heard tracks from them that I don't necessarily hate, that are actually pretty good, but I've also heard them at their worst, and this track it's just kind of middle of the road. I mean, Chris actually doesn't sound too bad on this track. I mean, it actually, gets into a poppier sort of sound, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It has a great melodic hardcore sound to it, and it's something that I hope we hear more of from Knocked Loose in the future. My issue is that alone takes away this track's intensity. This is easily the least heavy track here. Outside of that, though, if you didn't know, well, now you know. Honestly, Knocked Loose right now is giving modern metalcore such a great name. Take me home, the drama here, the patience. Easily one of the most exciting cuts here. The winding riff, the tense drumming, the groove that pops in on this track, because at this point, why not? And yeah, lyrically, it is one of the more straightforward tracks here, but they take something small and make something really interesting out of it. That's something I'm always impressed with. The calm that keeps you awake might be my favorite deep cut here. The pacing here and the tension is absolutely immaculate, and we also get an off-kilter groove once again. Don't ask me. But very quickly, it just kind of blasts off into a sort of melodic hardcore track that hits hard. One of the better ones here. I love the breakdowns on this track. Something about this album I just really needed right now. Blinding Faith is easily one of the more impressive tracks here. I've loved it since it dropped as a single. This is Knocked Loose throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, but I mean that in an actually exciting way. I mean, this track is a constant onslaught, and a lot of solos on this track. All around, which is something I didn't think I knew I was missing, but honestly, here it is, and it is awesome and ruthless. And the final 30 seconds, I don't even know what this album is anymore, but it's freaking cool. And Sit and Mourn as a finale, I did not know what to expect. It's easily one of the longest cuts on this album, and probably one of the longer cuts in the discography of Knocked Loose. But the atmosphere here is to die for, and this is the kind of risks that I salute every single day. They push themselves here, and the results show. It is really intense, and when this track does pick up, it's really exciting. This may be my favorite deep cut here. This is what I want to see even more of at a Knocked Loose. We get a lot of it here, but the experimentation, the fearlessness is really what brings this album up to the level that it's at. I mean, this near 5-minute track, genuinely one of the most progressive and forward-thinking metalcore tracks I've heard in a while. The atmosphere, the density, the just feeling of finality throughout. It is not for the faint of heart, but it's pretty awesome. Yeah, this album as its whole, not only is it just some of the most ruthless, aggressive, in-your-face, blistering metalcore you'll hear all year, it's done with a sense of creativity that I'm just not seeing in other artists right now. This album, not only is it just a great metalcore project, it is such an artistic leap and the kind that excites me, and honestly, this is one of the best albums you're going to hear all year of any genre. It is just a thrilling experience, albeit one not for the faint of heart, but if this is your bag, I'm certainly feeling a decent 9 on this album. But let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.